According to one of the earliest Egyptian mythologies, Osiris was the grandson, or the great-grandson in fact, of Atem, the great king god of the sun, who retired from the earth and went back to heaven, as he could. I would too if I were him. Osiris took over as the king of Egypt, the ruler, and he was apparently a pretty good king too. He introduced laws that were fair and just, but more importantly, he introduced agriculture and taught man how to grow food. He was one of the first God teachers to send information from on high to the world of man. So that's Osiris. Now let's talk about osmosis. Osmosis is, well, where you've got two compartments separated by a semi-permeable membrane. Now, I have to tell you, I failed biology at high school. So I'm not sure about the science, except that I do know that with osmosis, stuff can get through that membrane in one direction, but can't come back again. It soaks in from the greater concentration. As I say, I don't quite understand the science, but I do understand people. And we are the same. If we're surrounded by a concentration of something, we absorb that as if by osmosis. That could be hilarity, it could be good humour, it could be knowledge, it could be information, it could be prejudice. Whatever we surround ourselves with, that's what we absorb by osmosis. And so it's fairly important, ladies and gentlemen, that we choose the right people to surround us, to give us the right information, to give us the right role models. Over the past 60 years, I think I've learned some stuff, at least I hope so, either from the God model, the Osiris model of giving me information from above, or by osmosis. I've simply absorbed it from those that surround me, from my mentors, and I've done the same, I hope, with those who are my protégés. Now, I should talk a moment about mentors here, because we've talked about the ancient Egyptians. It's only fair that we give the ancient Greeks some time as well. And mentor, the very word mentor, comes from an ancient Greek legend. Mentor was an advisor to Telemachus. Telemachus was the son of Odysseus. That's in the Odyssey, you've probably heard it. If you haven't heard it, you may have heard of the Adventures of Telemachus, which was where we actually get the word mentor in its current use, as somebody who provides assistance and support for somebody usually younger. But sometimes the lessons that we get from our mentors are not the lessons that we would like. Sometimes the lessons that we give are not the lessons that we should. We can either provide information in a formal sense, or we can provide information in an osmotic sense, if you like, where people learn from us. I've spent most of my adult life working in education in one form or another. I currently teach at university in journalism and in radio. I also teach public speaking, either for profit or mostly for love with Toastmasters. And like comedian Tim Minchin, I believe that teaching is extremely important. Tim Minchin, at a recent speech, said, be a teacher. Even if you're not a teacher, be a teacher. Take what you have learned and spread it around. Everybody in this room is a teacher. All of us are teachers. If you don't think so, look at your children. What they learned at your knee is much more important than what they have learned in school. If you've told them that work is more important than them, that your time should be spent in the office rather than with your family, then that's a lesson that you're teaching them, whether you intended to teach that or not. Your colleagues learn the same lesson. If you say to them, you've got to stay here, you've got to work here, you've got to throw away your work-life balance, then they're learning a lesson from you that you may not be intending. So, if you're going to be presenting information, and all of us do, all of the time, remember, ladies and gentlemen, you can be Osiris, but you have to also be osmotic. If you don't walk the walk as well as talk the talk, if they look at you and say, no, he's not telling the truth here, I can see from him, you're giving the wrong message. People will absorb simply from around them because it's easier. They don't have to think. One last thing, ladies and gentlemen. Osiris, the god, he's long gone. But osmosis, that learning method, it will be with us until the death of the universe. And that's a really cheery thought, isn't it?